Are you looking for a Spelljammer port in the Forgotten Realms, a location to launch into wild space to explore the Astral Sea? Well, look no further than these very few and very specific places where one can experience the thrill of spelljamming, including 2 obvious cities and 1 secret location that doesn't even appear on maps.
The mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat.
This video is sponsored by Roll for Combat and their upcoming Kickstarter, Battle Zoo Eldamon. Roll for Combat makes D&D 5e and Pathfinder content, and this upcoming Kickstarter is going to be epic. Battle Zoo Bestiary Strange and Unusual Monsters has over 150 new monsters for your game, new ancestries and races for Pathfinder 2 and D&D 5e, and the Battle Zoo Eldamon book, which will have loads of pocket-type monsters for training, befriending, and evolving. Go to eldamon.com and get notified when the Kickstarter goes live. Thanks again, Roll for Combat. Hello everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent, and today we are gearing up for the Spelljammer 5e release, and I wanted to discuss Spelljammer ports. Now there are those in the Forgotten Realms that know about spelljamming, but for the average citizen, it's a mystery. There are few places that you can land and resupply and trade. Now, if you are arriving from wild space, how do you even know where to go? These must be advertised, right? Like in a zine or something? Spelljammer Monthly? Now, most Spelljammer ships don't need any specific constructed object or location to be able to land, like a landing pad or a literal dock. If a ship has landing gear, they can land most anywhere that is flat. If they are boat-like, then they can land in the water. It's nice when visiting a new planet to grab supplies and repairs, so knowing where to go is valuable. It's kind of like wild space trucker stops on an intergalactic highway. Now, Tyrell has many ports where spelljammers can dock, and these are known to spelljammer pilots because it will be where they took off from. And after that, word of mouth or maps found at the Rock of Brawl, or on some kind of scavenged derelict ship. The largest port for the planet of Toril is in Waterdeep. Locals may not know about spelljammers, as the wild space vessels are required to touch down in the ocean several miles away and sail into port. Now, this alleviates mass panic. The requirement was put into law, and those who break it are arrested, fined, and jailed for no less than 12 years, which makes me wonder, how do incoming ships know the law? Or is there a magical spell that informs the crew and prevents docking closer to the city? I mean, there's probably magic. There's always magic. The second largest spelljamming port is in Calamport, and the city too also requires spelljamming ships to land miles out in the water and sail in like a normal ship. And if you disobey this law, you're most likely to be found dead the next morning. Policing isn't necessarily done by the city here, but by the Merchants Guild. And since the merchants control the city, little investigation will be done about the disappearance of an outsider. Their ship is auctioned and the money is split between the head Merchant Guild members. There are a few other spelljamming ports located in Karatur, the large continent to the west. You can find information on them in the AD&D Spelljammer supplement Realm Space, but since I've never really covered Karatur much, I won't go into a ton of detail here, but if you're interested, the port cities are laid out in the Realm Space supplement. I think it's good to know that not everything is the Sword Coast, and that other ports do exist, but for 5e, I mean, here we are. I do find it interesting that there aren't any near Zakara or around the Sea of Fallen Stars. Now finally, I'm going to talk about a secret port in Faerun known as the Resort. Not many will talk about it, and its mysterious history confuses others when discussing it. The Resort isn't even on most maps of Faerun that I found. Now, some Deviant Art maps have been made that include it, so good job, Deviant artists. 2,000 miles south of the Moonshae Isles, past Lantan, past Chult, keep going. Surrounded by water is a little-known island nation called Nimral. Now, on the Forgotten Realms wiki, there is some information on Nimral, but I like to cross-reference that with actual books, and that was really difficult. The Nimral articles on the archived Wizards of the Coast website are no longer available, so I had to go to the Internet Archive and use the Wayback Machine to get an earlier dated version of WotC's website and then access these 8 articles on Nimral. Was it worth it? Probably not, since all 8 of the articles that I downloaded mention Spelljammer at least 0 times. But they do mention the main religion of Nimral was to Lyra, the goddess of illusions and lies. So who can really know what is true anymore? Now, Nimral was colonized originally by moon elves, and humans made their way there eventually. The population intermarried for so long that residents are now half-elves, or they have some kind of elf ancestor somewhere in their line. The people worship and follow Lyra, the goddess of illusions and deception. Perhaps it was the fact that Nimral was so secret that Lyra took a liking to it, and gave the island special attention, keeping it unseen from the rest of Faerun. Now, during the time of troubles, the Church of Lyra fell. The priests were powerless against a coup of wizards who took control of the government. Now known as the Lords of Nimral, they control this area and out of paranoia keep it secret from the outside. But is this a lie? Is this the goddess Lyra's handiwork to protect the resort? On the north side of the island, you can dock a Spelljammer ship and party till you run out of money. The area is nothing but bars, saunas, massage parlors, and other facilities. I mean, probably pools or tennis courts. There might even be like a gym dark magic show. There is no trade here. You don't restock here. You go on vacation. A barrier prevents teleportation to and from the island, and if you don't land your Spelljammer in the correct area, it will stop automatically above the city and is turned away. Illithids and Niyogi have even come here before. It's a peaceful place with magic that keeps antagonists away for good. Now, the Spelljammer introductory adventure on D&D Beyond, called Spelljammer Academy, takes place on Nimral. And after reading it, it looks like Nimral is kind of like the Cape Canaveral of Toril. And it makes sense. It's closer to the equator, and it can be hidden away if you're trying to keep spelljamming a secret. You're at a training camp to become some kind of a Spelljammer cosmonaut. An arcanonaut? We need a word for magic space explorer. I'm hoping to run this adventure with some friends, and I can't wait for Spelljammer 5e to be released. Do you believe Nimral is a secret academy for Spelljammer trainees? Do you think illusionist wizards have turned it into a space hotel and casino? Or has Lyra pulled the best lie and Nimral is still under her sway? Nobody really knows the truth. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you again, Roll for Combat, for sponsoring this video. Check out the links in the description for their Battle Zoo Bestiary Strange and Unusual. I will see you all in the next video.